Have you ever wondered if a woman was secretly attracted to you, but just didn't say it? Have you walked away from an encounter feeling like something was there, but you couldn't quite explain what? And why is it that so many men miss the signs, not because they're blind, but because they're not paying attention to what really matters? Welcome to the Stoic Path, where we decode human behavior through the lens of timeless masculinity and emotional intelligence. In today's video, we're diving straight into 10 hidden signs a woman is secretly attracted to you, signs she'll never say out loud, but will show in her body language, tone of voice, and subtle behaviors. These are the signals most men overlook, not because they're impossible to see, but because they're looking in the wrong direction. But once you learn to recognize them, you'll stop chasing, and start choosing. So stay with me until the end, because this video is packed with insights that could completely shift the way you understand female psychology, dating, and your own value as a Stoic man. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to the Stoic Path, and drop a comment below with your own experiences or questions. Your feedback helps us grow and bring more high-quality content straight to you. This is one of those videos you'll want to watch all the way through. Every section builds on the last, and the full picture only reveals itself at the end. Let's begin. 1. Her eyes pause on you, not just look. One of the most overlooked signs of attraction is the pause. It's that moment her eyes meet yours, and linger just half a second longer than they should. That moment? That's not an accident. That's primal curiosity. She's not just seeing you, she's absorbing you. Her gaze isn't scanning the room randomly, it's anchored on you. Most men are trained to look for exaggerated gestures, hair flips, loud laughter, but miss the stillness. And that's what Stoicism teaches us: in stillness, we see truth. A woman who's drawn to you might glance away quickly, but it's not out of disinterest, it's intensity. She feels exposed. Her pupils might dilate, her focus will shift toward your mouth while you're speaking, and her body will still, like she's unconsciously tuning everything else out. Don't mistake silence for absence. Sometimes the most powerful signal is the quietest. 2. Her laughter becomes magnetic. Laughter is often dismissed as mere amusement, a response to something funny. But for a woman who's attracted to you, laughter becomes something else entirely. It becomes intimacy in disguise. You might not even say anything that funny. But suddenly, she's giggling, smiling wide, throwing her head back like you've just delivered a stand-up routine. That's not about the joke, it's about you. Her laughter isn't performance, it's permission. A subconscious way of telling you, I feel safe enough around you to let my guard down. From a Stoic perspective, this is not the time to gloat or become reactive. This is the time to observe. Her laughter has rhythm, a softness and warmth that comes from emotional comfort, not punchlines. And more importantly, it's her way of drawing you in without appearing direct. She's laughing with you, yes, but also for you, as if to signal that you've entered her inner emotional space. Look closer. Does she touch your arm while laughing? Does her body lean in? Does she glance at you to see if you're smiling too? These are not just social gestures, they are cues of connection. Her body is dancing with yours in energy, not in words. In Stoicism, we train ourselves to recognize what is real beneath the illusion. Laughter may seem casual, but when it repeats, when it's more frequent around you than others, when it comes with physical closeness, it's no longer coincidence. It's chemistry. And a woman's laughter, when touched by attraction, becomes less about humor, and more about hunger. Hunger for closeness. Hunger for resonance. Hunger for you. 3. Her voice softens, and becomes more intimate. One of the most subtle yet powerful indicators of attraction lies not in what she says, but in how she says it. Her tone. Her tempo. Her vocal texture. Around others, she might speak quickly, clearly, with casual energy. But when she's talking to you, something shifts. Her voice lowers, slows. It thickens with warmth, with weight, with something unspoken. It's not performance, it's instinct. Science has shown that when a woman is attracted, her voice naturally drops a few tones. It becomes softer, sultrier, more rhythmic. But it goes deeper than biology. It's her body signaling emotional presence. It's her unconscious way of inviting connection, of telling you, this space between us feels different. Pay attention to how she says your name. Is it drawn out? Whispered almost like a secret? Repeated unnecessarily? That's not coincidence, that's investment. She's savoring it, not as a label, but as an experience. To her, your name isn't just a sound, it's a feeling. One she wants to keep echoing in the air a little longer. This is where Stoic attention becomes your greatest ally. A man grounded in his masculine frame doesn't rush to respond. He listens, deeply. He notices the subtle music in her tone. He feels the shift without needing to analyze it. When she speaks to you differently than she speaks to others, when her voice takes on a quality that belongs in quiet spaces, not crowded rooms, that's not accidental. That's desire wrapped in softness. That's the feminine revealing itself not through volume, but through vibration. And when you're attuned enough to feel it, you'll realize, you're no longer just in a conversation. You're in a moment. One that could change everything. For she angles her body toward you, even in a group. The body never lies. Where the words may dance and the mind may second guess, the body moves with a truth it can't hide, especially in the presence of desire. When a woman is genuinely attracted to you, she doesn't need to say it out loud. Her posture, her orientation, the subtle positioning of her frame, all begin to orbit around your presence. Notice the way she positions herself in a room. Even if others are speaking, even if there's a group dynamic, her knees, hips, and shoulders will likely be angled toward you. That's not social habit, that's primal focus. She's not just engaging, she's prioritizing. And then there's the self-touch. She might adjust her necklace, brush her hair, lightly trace her collarbone, not for show, but because she's suddenly aware of her femininity in your presence. These gestures are rarely conscious, yet they pulse with intention. Her body is reacting, preparing, offering. A Stoic man doesn't misinterpret these signals as guarantees, nor does he ignore them. He sees them as indicators, not invitations for action, but opportunities for awareness. When her spine straightens as you approach, when her chest subtly lifts, when her lips part slightly as you speak, these are signs not of politeness, but of unconscious openness. What's more revealing are the micro-movements, the way her eyes drift to your mouth mid-sentence, how she shifts her weight toward you, how her hand casually grazes yours and doesn't pull back. These are the moments between the moments, and they're laced with tension. This isn't about dominance. It's about discernment. Her body is speaking a silent language. The Stoic man hears it, and stays calm. Because he knows, desire is loudest when the world is quiet. 5. She finds reasons to touch, lightly, casually, but often. Touch is the most ancient language of intimacy, and when a woman initiates it, even in the smallest ways, she's saying something that words never could. A brush on the sleeve. A hand on your arm mid-laugh. Her fingers straightening the collar of your shirt. These aren't random. These are deliberate accidents. You see, when a woman is attracted to you, she doesn't always test with questions, she tests with contact. And not overtly. It's subtle, fleeting, and just light enough that she can play it off as casual. But don't be fooled, her nervous system knows exactly what it's doing. She's checking for something, a spark, a response, a current running beneath your composure. The Stoic man doesn't react with desperation. He doesn't flinch or overplay the moment. He feels it, notes it, and lets it pass, because his validation comes from within, not from the flutters of a hand. What gives away her deeper intent isn't just the touch, but how she responds to it. Does she look down after making contact? Smile to herself? Does her breath hitch for half a second? That's where the truth hides, in her reaction to her own boldness. Touch, when it's frequent yet seemingly unplanned, becomes a form of sensual Morse code. And when she finds ways to close the gap again and again, to accidentally graze you, to lean in just slightly more than necessary, she's not confused. She's communicating. The Stoic man doesn't need to chase the touch. He simply stands still long enough to receive it, and in doing so, allows her desire to reveal itself, gently but unmistakably. 6. She gets emotionally curious, not just polite. When a woman is merely being polite, she asks generic questions: what do you do? Where are you from? How was your weekend? But when she's drawn to you, truly intrigued, her curiosity shifts from surface to soul. She starts asking questions that dig, that feel personal, that make you pause before answering. She wants to know what drives you, what shaped you, what you fear, what you crave. She's no longer gathering facts, she's seeking essence. This kind of curiosity isn't logical. It's emotional. She might ask about your childhood dreams, your biggest regret, what makes you feel most alive. And in the moment, it might feel like a casual chat, but don't mistake it for that. She's trying to get inside your interior world. From the Stoic lens, this is where discernment is crucial. A grounded man shares with intention, not to impress, not to win affection, but to communicate truth. Vulnerability is powerful only when it's not a performance. So when she asks, don't overshare, and don't retreat either. Respond with calm clarity. Let her feel that your center is steady, not shaken by attention. And here's the other sign: she remembers. The small things. The story you told about your grandfather. The way you order your coffee. The book you said changed your life. She brings them up later, not to flatter you, but because she was truly listening. Attraction, when deep, isn't just physical. It's intellectual, emotional, even philosophical. If she leans in not to your body, but to your story, you're no longer just someone she's curious about. You're becoming someone she wants to understand, and possibly belong to. 7. She starts mirroring you, subtly but intentionally. One of the most fascinating signals of subconscious attraction is mirroring. It's when her body, voice, or movements begin to subtly reflect yours, not because she's trying to impress you, but because her nervous system is syncing with your presence. She crosses her legs shortly after you cross yours. She leans in when you do. She sips her drink seconds after you take a sip of yours. Her laugh follows your rhythm. Even her phrasing might echo your expressions, repeating a word you use, borrowing your cadence. This isn't mimicry. It's resonance. In Stoic terms, mirroring is not flattery, it's energetic alignment. Her body is unconsciously saying, I feel safe with you. I trust this rhythm. I want to match it. You see, attraction isn't just about pleasure. It's about compatibility. And long before that's verbalized, her physiology starts to test it, syncing breath, posture, tone. Her mirroring is a test of closeness, a quiet way of saying, we fit. Most men miss this because it's subtle, too subtle for the untrained eye. But the Stoic man is not driven by the obvious. He watches with stillness. He listens with presence. And when he notices that she starts to mirror his gestures or absorb his energy, he doesn't overreact. He doesn't try to lead more aggressively. He simply holds his frame, and allows the resonance to build. Because when a woman mirrors you, it's not just about attraction. It's about alignment. And that kind of connection, the kind that moves in sync, moment by moment, isn't faked. It's felt. Deeply, instinctively, and undeniably. 8. She becomes nervous around you, not confident. Attraction isn't always elegant. In fact, when it's real, when it's intense, it often shows up as restlessness. She might be sitting across from you, composed on the surface, but underneath that polished exterior, her body is having an entirely different conversation. Watch for the fidgeting, the hair twirling, the lip biting, the shifting in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her legs, tugging at her sleeves. These aren't nervous habits born from boredom, they're physical symptoms of suppressed desire. Her body wants to move closer, to say something bold, to break the surface tension, but her mind says, stay cool. And that internal tug of war spills out in the form of small, seemingly insignificant movements. It's not about discomfort, it's about energy looking for a place to land. The Stoic man, grounded and observant, sees these signs and does what most men can't: he holds space. He doesn't pounce. He doesn't tease. He simply stays still, present, and aware. Because he understands that tension is not a problem to solve, it's a frequency to tune into. Think of it this way: her body is trying to regulate the emotional spike you're causing. She's not unsure about you, she's overwhelmed by what she's feeling. And the more she tries to hide it, the more it leaks out through her body. Real attraction doesn't always look smooth. Sometimes, it's clumsy, messy, exposed. But it's also authentic. And when you notice that her poise is cracking just a little when she's around you, that's not weakness. That's chemistry, unfiltered and unrehearsed. 9. She accidentally shows up, but it's no accident. 302. When a woman is attracted to you, she won't always say it. She might never confess it. But she will start to appear, again and again, in your world. Coincidentally. Casually. Conveniently. You bump into her at the gym at a time she normally isn't there. She suddenly joins that group event you mentioned. She tells you she was just in the area when she texts you out of the blue. And at first glance, it all seems random, but make no mistake, it's engineered spontaneity. Feminine pursuit is subtle. It doesn't chase directly. It creates proximity. It builds opportunity and waits to see if you notice. From the perspective of Stoicism, the high-value man doesn't fall for the illusion of chance. He reads the pattern beneath the surface. He doesn't assume egoically, she must be obsessed, but he does observe, she is choosing to be near. And presence is a powerful form of pursuit. You'll notice, too, that these accidents come with time extensions. She lingers after a conversation. She proposes group plans that somehow end up one-on-one. She finds excuses to stay just 5 minutes longer, or texts you late at night with a seemingly innocent question. This is soft strategy. Feminine influence at work. She's not chasing, but she's circling. Closing the distance. Giving you space to lead, and hoping you'll step into it. To the untrained man, it looks like coincidence. To the Stoic man, it's an invitation. And the question isn't whether it's real, the question is whether you're present enough to see it for what it is. Because proximity is never neutral. It's either logistics, or longing. 10. Her goodbye feels like a beginning, not an ending. Most people say goodbye and move on. But when a woman is attracted to you, her goodbye lingers, like she's physically walking away, but emotionally hanging back. Her body might turn, but her energy stays. That moment? That's not closure. That's hesitation wrapped in hope. Maybe she says, I should go, but doesn't move. Maybe she adds, oh, one more thing, as if she's searching for a reason to stay connected just a little longer. Maybe her hug holds a second too long, her fingers graze your arm one last time, or she turns back with a half smile that says everything her words won't. To the Stoic man, this moment is sacred. Because it's here, in the final pause, that true emotional weight reveals itself. She may have played it cool all night, kept her feelings guarded, her body composed. But when it's time to leave, the mask slips. And you see it, not in what she says, but in what she delays. This is the space between desire and decision. She's wondering, will you let her go completely, or give her a reason to stay emotionally engaged? A weak man might rush in, read too much, or chase. But the Stoic man honors the moment. He doesn't cling. He doesn't push. He simply receives the goodbye for what it is, a silent confession wrapped in restraint. Because attraction doesn't always scream. Sometimes it sighs. And when she leaves you with softness in her voice, with tension in her breath, and with just enough silence to leave a door open, she's not closing a chapter. She's writing the prologue to something more. And only the man who sees clearly, without ego, without impulse, will know how to answer that invitation, with calm, grounded certainty. By now, you've seen how subtle, and yet unmistakable, a woman's attraction can be. It's not loud. It's not obvious. It's quiet, magnetic, sometimes even clumsy, but always real. So let me ask you again, how many signs have you missed in the past simply because you weren't trained to see them? And how would your dating life change if you could recognize these signals without guessing, without chasing, and without losing your center? This is the essence of the Stoic Path, not reacting out of desperation, but responding with grounded awareness and masculine clarity. If today's video sparked new insight for you, hit that like button, subscribe to the Stoic Path, and share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear how many of these signs you've noticed in your own life, or perhaps overlooked until now. And remember, this video was just the beginning. What's coming next will go even deeper, into the emotional triggers, feminine psychology, and masculine frame that separate the average man from the truly unshakable one. So don't miss what's coming. Stay sharp. Stay aware. And as always, walk the Stoic Path.